Okay, we're gonna get started here. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Alan Lang, for those who don't know me. We did our adult mission trip this year in New Orleans. Again, thanks for everybody for their support and their prayers on this. We had a lot of fun. I had another successful trip. This year we had 11 people with us. We worked with SBP. We've worked with them we work with them quite a bit. It's called St. Bernard Project. The reason we work with them is they provide all the equipment and there's corporate sponsorship. So in the past, when we first started, we had to drive up and bring our own equipment and things like that. And it was kind of a pain to do that because we spent a lot of time traveling and not enough time working. So once we got hooked up with SBP, and they've worked with the youth quite a bit too. It works really nice because they provide the equipment. And in the past, some of the mission trips earlier on, they would drop off the equipment and say, okay, we'll see you at noon or we'll see you at 4 o'clock, and that's it. You know, not a lot of instructions. With SBP, they have to have minimum 2 people on site at all times. So if anything breaks down, run out of equipment, in this case, caulk, they had to go back and get a lot of caulk. So we did a lot of work. We had a lot of fun. Go to the next slide here. Here's our participants for the mission trip this year. There's 11 of us. Paul Davis, Jeff, myself, Dan Gordon, Ginger. Probably has gone on more trips than anybody else, I would think.
I lost count.
Yeah, and I know Kathy Shaw, Emily, Storm, Peggy, and Bob Storm were the first time they were with us. So we're glad that they joined us. We had a lot of fun. SBP is now what they call the opportunity housing mode. That's kind of why we're working in New Orleans quite a bit. Because what has happened over the years, you know, a lot of the original storm damage is complete, you know, the ones, but there are a lot of people who either walked away from their homes because it was just beyond repair, or they succumbed to the storm, and they did. So what happens at the end of after a certain amount of time, the city asks them that, you know, if there's no response, they actually take over the land because there's nobody paying the taxes, there's no ownership, but they give them a certain amount of time. Originally, when SBP, or actually when we were starting to do the work in New Orleans, if you wanted to keep the house up, you had to put a big red X and say, "Don't remove," whatever, so they know which houses to save. But after a certain amount of time, the city acquired them, and with this opportunity housing now, the city has acquired them and they put these properties up for bid. And then the highest bidder gets it. Not necessarily the highest bidder, but the best qualified. They really like owner occupied if possible. They want to make sure you get it done or you start your work in a certain amount of time, things like that. So SBP actually acquired the 2 lots. We actually worked on 2 different properties just within a few blocks of each other. And they started the work around the same time. So that's kind of where we were at. Where we were at is we were doing a lot of siding and caulking. A lot of caulking. A lot of caulking.
We're experts at it.
Yeah, we're really good at caulking right now. A little bit about what SBP is. Their corporate sponsorship is through like Walmart Foundation, Toyota. They're the 2 big sponsors. And then SBP also works with a lot of AmeriCorps workers. So they're on the site with us, working just along with us. And it's nice because if you've ever done this before, if it's something new, whether it's drywalling, caulking, painting, whatever it is, they always give us instructions. So there's all instructions, so you go into something, you're not just going into it blind, you get instructions on how to do things and they walk you through that. SBP, just a little bit of history. They started after Hurricane Katrina. Liz McCartney, she and her significant other, Jack Rosenberg, whatever, started SBP in 2006. And since then, 68,000 people homeless. They've worked with, we're at the breaking point. So a lot of people were in homes, but beyond that, SBP, that's really impressive is they've gone beyond just fixing homes. They also looking for efficiencies, and Toyota is a big part of that. They work with other organizations. They also train home and business owners in resilience and risk mitigation for prior disasters. They also advise state and local governments so they can deploy federal dollars sooner in a way to support usability. And they're a big advocate for a complete recovery. So they are growing quite a bit over the years, and we like working with them because it's really efficient for us, especially we go there, we do the work, and we don't have to worry about anything else. Here's some pictures of the 2 houses we were at. Our job was basically installing siding, a little bit of siding, more or less caulking, a lot of caulking. There was a lot of caulking. And all over it, as you can see, everybody was working on caulking. And then, so this is kind of interesting. If you notice some of the footings, you notice the footings here?
Yeah.
Because of the water tables and the soft soil conditions, they have to put the footings in. So I looked it up as far as the footings in New Orleans. It's a minimum of 2 feet, but it is as high as 30 feet, depending on the water tables. Now I talked to the workers on this, and he said that footing was 7 feet deep. And this particular house, they both were similar in the layout. There were 24 of those footings for those properties. Now what SPP does is, for insurance purposes, contractors put in the footings and they also do the roofing. The rest of the work is done by volunteers, and that's kind of where we come in. And what happens is when volunteers were interested in working on, we don't know till like Wednesday before we actually head out what we're going to be doing, because they're working on so many different houses and there are different stages. And this time of year, there's a lot of students that are out there back in school, and so it's basically a lot of adults. So what happens, these people from SPP as well as AmeriCorps, these supervisors, they work together on these houses, so they'll know like where things are in different, whatever status. So I will get the call on Wednesday or Thursday, letting us what we knew. So we knew we were going to be working on siding and caulking. So we were serious workers, but we also were kind of like goofing around too. We had a lot of fun. There's another view of one of the houses earlier on. See on the bottom right there, we take lunch. Typically what happens is we pack our own lunches in the morning. And then we work either from 8 or 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. and we stay on site. So then we're just sitting down, we're pulling out our packed lunches as we're taking a break. What we did is last year I tried to get to work with coastal CRCL, Coastal Rescue Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana. A little bit about that. It was established, basically it's an oyster shell recycling program. It was created in 2014 to keep shells out of landfills and slow coastal land loss. What's been happening is because there's a deficit of oysters in that area. And actually, I didn't know this, but Louisiana, that state, they provide the second most provider of oysters for the U.S. So what happens is with these, they worked with a bunch of restaurants. I think there's like 36 restaurants that are participating in the program now. Is they have dumpsters at their restaurants where they dump their oyster shells instead of putting them in landfills. And then CRCL picks them up and then puts them in a large collection area. I'll show you some pictures of that. So with that, then what they do is they take the shells, eventually put them in like 30-pound containers, and then they could throw them out to the water. It does two things. First of all, it slows down the land that was lost as a result of all the storms. But the other thing that I didn't know, these oysters get repopulated inside of there. What happens is the oysters go and they basically, what was explained to me, they suck the substrate from the old oysters to form new oyster shells. Mm-hmm. And so it creates creates more it changed the salinity of the water because it stops all the water going, you know, the salt water that was going up the Mississippi River, which is creating problems for a lot of growth, a lot of trees and all that were dying because the salt water was, the alkalinity level was so high. And by putting those shells out there, in addition to that, they also have trees and planting and things like that. That slows down the salt water heading up the Mississippi River. Show you some pictures of some. This is from their website of the shells that were crazy. And if you ever go to their website, you also can see an aerial view of all the area which they're filling in the area. So we spent one day, actually half a day there. They only work a half a day there because there's so much lifting. You only work more than half a day, and doing the work because it's pretty heavy, a lot of lifting. Here's a picture on the left of the dump area where they're dumping the shells. And what happens is there's like these shells have to be decomposed fully enough, and it usually takes from 6 months to a year and a half. So what happens is that it's the what they say, the pigs and the raccoons and vultures, they will eat the meat off them, and then all of a sudden Mother Nature takes the rest as far as the rain and things like that. Eventually it takes anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half. Those are all shells up here. I'll show you. All shells up here. So we were working in that area. We also were there with a bunch of high school students, there were about 24 of them. And they got stuck with putting them into the bags. We just had to lift the bags and put them into a truck. So when we first got there, this is what it looked like. You can see there's a lot of pallets there. We put down 6 pallets, 6 new pallets. And I'll show you some pictures of what we were doing. So what we had to do is they were taking them, putting that into the back of that truck, and then that truck went about 50 yards to the site where those pallets were, and we just load them up. Eventually, those shells then get picked up by a semi, and they take it to different areas. And then it goes to the areas in the shore where you saw the pictures where the shells were being thrown out there. They're all Indian land. It's all reservation land. So what happens, once they get those shells, they distribute to the different areas. They put on airboats and they go out to the areas where they need to just throw those out. And we were last year, we were trying to work with them, and it didn't work with the timing because they're getting so large now. They have to do things in stages. So fortunately, we got it Thursday, was that Wednesday or Thursday? We went out there. So then we worked with SPP and we said, hey, we're working here on Thursday. Can we work on Friday? We usually work 4 days and we take like a half day off. We'll work a half day one of the days just so we can get around and see where we're working and then do some visiting and joining, just seeing the sites. So here we're doing that, and one of the things they warned us is every once in a while there may be some red ants. Bob experienced it firsthand. Thanks, Bob. He warned us, whatever. So then they cleared their area up, but we did quite a bit of work, and I'll show you what we did. We every pallet is 1.5 tons, and in those 4 hours we did 6.5 pallets. So here's the picture. So you see the pile at the end, where remember all those piles, those pallets, they're all full now. So we filled those up. That's just a picture of the group afterwards. It was, I think everybody was exhausted at the end of those 4 hours. You can see why you don't do a full day of that. But it was a nice break from caulking and siding. It was a nice break. But it was a lot of fun. It's kind of funny, but you know, every time we go out, you know, everyone's like, oh, we could do this on Monday night, Tuesday, let's go all these places, whatever. By usually Tuesday or Wednesday, everyone's so tired, it's like, no, we're just gonna stay here. And that happened again, especially after Thursday. It's like, no, we're not going anything. We're not gonna do anything. So it was a lot of fun, though. There's the place that we stayed at. There's the hallway. There was 7 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms.
8 bedrooms, 4 baths.
8 bedrooms, 4 baths. So there's, it's like a shotgun all the way down, there's all the rooms, and there's the area, the kitchen area. We always make sure we have a large kitchen area so we can gather. On the top left here, there we are in the morning. Again, we have to pack our own lunches. So we have the food, the church provides the food. So we pack your own lunches. We put them in the cooler, and then here, before we go out, we have our devotions in the morning before we head out to do our projects. A lot of room there for the living room and a dinette area, so a lot of room. We had a lot of fun.
But Al, what was the downside of the beautiful place, but it was 3 floors up?
Yeah.
We didn't know until we got there. Al said, we got a phone call literally the day of and said, oh, by the way, you're on the 3rd floor. It's like, huh? You know, so then we had to carry our luggage up to 3 floors.
It did have a nice patio area though, too.
Yes, yes, it did. And it did have a
3
pool there
floors down.
outside, whatever. But,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's a little bit of the nightlife. We went into the French Quarter. We did it earlier on. It wasn't too busy. I think a lot of it could have been because Taylor Swift was there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it was really busy with that. But typically on the weekdays, it's not that busy in the French Quarter. It gets a lot busier on the weekends. Here's some pictures. Just one of the bridges and and here's the picture of us in the streetcar, because instead of taking our cows down to the French Quarter, we are literally, I think, 4 blocks away from the streetcar, the stop, whatever, and for like what's it, $1.40 or even less.
40
if you're
cents if you're a
40 cents if you're a senior citizen each way, going all the way down to the French Quarter, whatever. So it was just kind of fun to go down there as a group. Where are we going next? It's really, kind of showing some of the places we've gone in the past. I just lost that. Anyways, that's the last slide anyway. But I talked with SPP, and they've got people out in Florida and in North Carolina. So, and Florida, they're a lot further along. So it looks like next year we're probably going to be in Florida or North Carolina doing some work. Because it takes a while to set up because it's a large organization, but because they are large, it works really well. So that's kind of where we are right now. Any questions or any comments from any of the people who were there? Yes?
The housing that you stayed in, was that something you arranged yourself, or is that
Yes,
something
yes,
that
yeah, Al worked on that. So it's just like, we wait till we know how many people we have, and then we just, we
It was an Airbnb.
yeah. Yeah, we've done that. Gone are the days from 10, 12 years ago, we're sleeping in basements in churches and on couches and on cots, whatever. It's like, we're not doing that anymore, whatever. So we stay in a place like that. And it works really well, especially for just, getting together as a group, whatever, talking, getting to know each other, because we're all in the same, same place, whatever. It was really neat because we had so many people, we all had stories to share about ourselves and what we do and stuff like that. So it was a really, fantastic time as a group. You just got to meet some people that you see in church, whatever. Peggy, where is she? I saw Peggy in the church once in a while. I was like, oh, so you got to know Peggy really well. It was a lot of fun. We did have a lot of fun.
Weather.
The weather?
What was it?
Well, the weather wasn't actually too bad. That's why we go as late as we do, because I think we hit the 80s one day.
Yeah.
The sun, it was warm in the sun.
If you were in the sun, it's quite hot. But if you managed to be on the side of the house that was shady, it was all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the caulking, it was the plan, okay, where the shade is, okay, let's do this part, and in the afternoon, let's go to the other area. So we did, we did a lot of the caulking.
But you take a lot of water breaks and Gatorade breaks, and we take care of ourselves.
Yeah, they're big on making sure that we take a lot of water
I'm
breaks.
thinking of the past trip, at 10 in the morning, it was 87 and the dew point was 80.
Yeah. Well, that was earlier on. We were going in August, September, so it's like, September,
No,
October.
September, October, they just had extra warm weather, I think.
Yeah, you never really know, but we got lucky. It didn't rain at all.
Yeah, it didn't rain at night one night, maybe, but it didn't rain during the day at all.
Right. So it worked out really nice. Anybody else? Yes.
Were the houses were new houses replacing damaged ones or destroyed ones?
Those two houses we're working on were brand new construction because they bought the vacant lots and they were bit. And actually, it's a good thing you mentioned that because last year we worked on two houses. One of them was a duplex that was existing, and the single family that was also existing.
Oh, yeah.
So we did existing too because it all depends on what the project is. But the last year we did the two. And actually we did get a chance to go drive by those two houses that we worked on last year that were done. So it was nice just to see the final product. Yeah.
Does that organization then sell them? Are they owner occupied? Do the people that own them have sweat equity in them? How's that work?
Yes to both, whatever. In some cases, the majority of the homes now are they're not existing because we're working on the houses. They're going new construction. Majority of those homes that were existing have been fixed. Last year there was a two-family that SPP bought, and they're owning that, and they still own it, and they're renting it out. But all the properties that they build, that they purchase themselves, are for sale. So they didn't put them on the market. So like the two-family, it was a source of income for them. So instead of just fixing them up and selling them, they go on the market. But like the two-family, it's being rented right now. They still own that one. The other house that we worked on, that was she was already living in the house, and we were just doing the siding and scraping and getting rid of the lead paint on that one. So it's a combination of both. Those two houses you saw, that was all new construction.
Were there other groups? You mentioned AmeriCorps.
Yeah.
Were there others besides AmeriCorps working with you while you were there?
It was just us and AmeriCorps and SBP people, so it was the three of us. Now, last year we worked with AmeriCorps and SBP, but then also worked with a different organization for the removing of the paint on that. For that organization, we actually had to pay because they don't have the corporate sponsorship SBP has. So they provided the equipment, but we also had to pay for assistance with them. And so yeah, and that was also AmeriCorps and another organization. So AmeriCorps works not just with SBP, but this other organization. I don't even remember what the name of it was, but SBP worked with them also. Paul.
Oh, those two houses that we worked on this trip, I asked one of the supervisors what they would sell for. He said they would normally go for about $260,000. They would be pricing it at about $225,000. So that made it more feasible for low-income people to buy. Also wanted to say, really thank Al Van Lith for doing a lot of planning and leadership with Al.
Yeah.
Ginger did a lot of the research on housing.
That's because I know what I want.
That's what, she's the reason we're not on COTS anymore.
Now, can you speak a little bit about your work with AmeriCorps? I guess my understanding of AmeriCorps is that it's young people who come in, especially either while they're in college or freshly out of college, and they get their tuition reimbursed, or it helps with the cost of tuition as they have these work experiences.
Correct. Yeah, now, that's true. Basically, AmeriCorps workers, they signed a 9-month contract for AmeriCorps, so they're going to be going wherever. I mean, like some of the AmeriCorps workers are working SPP. They were actually going out to Florida to do head out and try to set things up and plan things. AmeriCorps workers work directly with SPP, and they also work directly, like last year, that other organization that we worked with for the one day. So they work in conjunction with each other, and then we're basically assisting them, because especially this time of year, the workers, the volunteers, there's a lot less. So that's we kind of take over or whatever, or wherever they are. So like if there was like 3 or 4 houses that are out there, all the supervisors will be working on like 1 or 2 houses, try to get them done and move things along, because when there are no volunteers, then the people from AmeriCorps and SPP are working to fix the house themselves. So when we come in, they let us know, okay, you're at this stage, so on, like Wednesday or Thursday, it's like, this week you'll be working on, for us it was like siding. Last year it was painting, removing lead paint, you know. So it's just a whole variety of things. We've done flooring, we've done drywalling, we've done painting,
Talking.
caulking,
Yeah.
Tiling.
Tiling,
Tiling.
bathroom.
tiling bathrooms, yes. So we never really know until Wednesday. So when you sign up, it's like, I don't know what we're gonna be doing. You were working on flooring, whatever, when we were in Minot. So yeah, it's we never really know, but it's interesting. Yes, question.
I couldn't tell from the pictures how large these houses are, what kind of square footage are you talking about?
One of the gentlemen said that they were 900 some square feet. It's a really tight design, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, small kitchen, living area. Very, I would say very efficient.
They're long.
Yeah.
They're long.
Long and narrow.
Shotgun house kind of setup.
Well, you may wonder about the caulking. It's
Did you know we were
inside.
talking?
We were caulking at the base of each of the siding, and it's to keep insects out. And even one of the buildings, the first building we worked on there were spiders that were moving in already, even though it had been put up shortly before that. So it's important there.
Yeah, because what was explained to us to be one of the workers, actually there's a supervisor who'd come like once or twice during the week. And he said like to answer the bugs, they basically start at the bottom and they work up and they try to find a way to infiltrate into the siding. That's why we do the caulking. So they can't, eventually they get up to the roof and there's nothing there, so they need to go somewhere else. Basically is how he explained it to us. So that's why the caulking, so there's no infestation. Yeah.
You mentioned that you had professional people doing the roof and the foundation.
Yep.
What about electrical and plumbing? How did they handle that kind of?
Yes, electrical and plumbing, that is licensed plumbers and electricians. In some cases, some of the volunteers are licensed, so that they kind of set them up, okay, make sure they're, and if you are a plumber or electrician from a different area, they have to show that you are licensed, whatever to do that. We've done some work before. I know with the Crooks we're helping, we were doing one where we were just pulling wires. We were working in a warehouse building.
Yeah.
We were pulling, but there was an electrician there, so we're pulling the wires through the studs and things like that, but the actual hookup and things like that, that's done by the electricians and plumbers. Yeah. Good question. Anybody else?
Did Paul say 900 square feet?
Yeah. Yeah, the layouts were, they were around 900,000 square feet, yeah, because they were really efficient, but they all were 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. But they were, they weren't really big, but because they need to make the houses affordable, but that's the whole thing what they're trying to do, because these areas that we're working in are areas that the quality of the housing and the size of the housing are very old and they're very small. So, and they also want to make it affordable for the people that live here. To live in those properties.
And 220,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is affordable.
That's what I was thinking.
Down the areas.
Oh, okay.
Another reason the homes are so small is the lots are very tiny.
Yep.
And you have your easement there, you have to be away from the lot line, so that only gives you so many square footage to build on.
Yeah, a lot of lots are like 30 by 120, so you can't put really big houses on there.
What about garages?
There was very few garages. If we were just talking about that one, because we were working on the one lot and the other lot was vacant, it's like you would have to buy that other lot in order to put a garage in there.
Except where they put them under the house when they had to be elevated because of the floods.
Right, if they're elevated somehow really high, in some cases they're so high that you actually can put, there's like carports underneath in the bottom, but typically a lot of those houses, there was very few houses. There were a few, but there weren't a lot that had, more houses did not have garages than did.
I think we saw a lot of parking slabs right out in front of the house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you do volunteer labor, but they sell the houses. Okay,
Yep.
so what would the houses sell for if the labor wasn't volunteer? I don't, that doesn't square with me. I don't understand how that works.
Well, Paul, you gave the example. What was when you talked to the gentleman as far as if
Yeah, he
you know, the
said,
market?
if it was not subsidized like that, that house would be like 260,000.
Okay, so that's the connection?
Yeah, it's with the volunteer labor, they're able to offer them less than market value.
Okay.
Anybody else in the group that want to share their experiences?
This was my first mission trip, and I didn't know what to expect, but it was so fun. Sign me up for next year. I don't know where we're going, but I'll go. It was so fun, and you meet so many interesting people. It's exhausting, but it's a good kind of exhausting because you're helping people and helping rebuild their lives. And I think the other thing is the friendships that you make. I mean, this group here, I really did. I mean, you see people in church, but I didn't know any of them. But it was so much fun. Once we got the rocking toilet fixed in our unit, yeah. And everybody, you look out for each other. I would highly, highly recommend it. My only regret is that I didn't do it sooner. And I will definitely do it again. I do have one question.
Sure.
How many Lutherans does it take to program a coffee pot?
I would say at least four.
I know, but it's not going
Yeah.
to We must have not figured it out.
Stays there, remember that?
But thank God for Al and Bob, because we had
Yeah.
coffee in the morning.
Yeah. In one of the mornings, because we go to the first day we go grocery shopping. So we got a list. So now we've got a list because we've done it so many times. But now we have to adjust just for the amount of people, whatever. So like on the second last day, then actually we had a bunch of eggs. So Al was making the eggs, whatever. I was making the coffee, got everything ready. So when everybody woke up, they had breakfast and things like that. So then again, we packed our own lunches for going out and for our work out in the homes. Anybody else?
Well, and I also want to say thank you to you and the other Al, and to Ginger, our navigator, and who's the navigator in the other
Dan.
families?
Yeah, Dan.
I mean, that city, to drive in and try and navigate, it's like trying to dig your way out of a bowl of cooked spaghetti.
It was so
I mean,
hard.
it's just- you got us there safely, you got us home again, we saw some sites that weren't on the itinerary, but it was all good. It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Google Maps doesn't always work as fast as
No.
you would think. When you make a turn, it's like, oh no, you're supposed to turn right instead of
Yeah.
left.
It's-
And then you're on a street and then trying to find your way back
Yeah.
to get it, whatever. And then so a couple of times Al was there first and we were there like, where were you guys?
Yeah.
Whatever.
We had to wait for the bridge.
Right.
We turned the wrong way and
Little
all of a
bridge
sudden the
going
bridge
up,
went up.
going
So
down,
then there was a
and
barge
then we went
going
to the boat
through, so then we got a
path.
chance
Yeah.
to see the barge, whatever. So,
Yep.
but we all got there. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Then what do you typically do for dinner when you're tired?
We
Well,
either like we went out, order out, or like we
Ordered
went
out.
out. There was one night, I think either you or Al Van Lith, since my first adult mission trip, and said, oh, like Emily, where would you want to go? I was like, oh, let's go to that restaurant. I think this is what
It was-
Oyster or like
Was that Mr.
Mr.
Eds?
Ed's,
was
yeah.
Mr. Ed's.
So we just
Mr.
went
Ed's.
across the
It was just
road
in
and
the
like had Mr.
neighborhood.
Ed's, like oyster place. And
Got good ratings, whatever,
So,
so
yeah.
we went there as a large group, whatever, did that. And then the last full night, there was a place like 3 blocks away, whatever, that was.
Barbecue place.
Barbecue, whatever, and it was great, we picked it up, brought it back to everybody, spread it out, and everyone just, had at it, whatever.
You were watching the ball game then?
oh yeah, watch it, yeah, the club,
Yes.
the
World Series.
Yeah.
World Series
Yeah.
baseball game. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we didn't do any real cooking.
Besides
We-
breakfast.
Other than
Yeah.
breakfast and making
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We brought stuff in.
Frozen pizzas too. for
Oh yeah.
Yeah, always
The
frozen
first night.
pizza the first night, we go to the
Airplane
store, get
ride.
the frozen pizzas, because everyone's unpacking and getting settled in, whatever. So we just put pizzas in the oven the first, that
Aren't
Sunday.
they wonderful frozen pizzas?
Yes, they are.
Yes, it works out really well, so and get everyone, get a chance to settle in and walk around, things like that. So it was a lot of fun.
And if working and helping build homes isn't enough fun, you should come to the grocery store with us.
Yes.
11 of us
There's
descended.
11 of us spread out with
have
like 3 or
6
4 different carts,
Everyone's
whatever.
going their own different way,
You
filling up
get
with
this,
stuff.
you get that, whatever.
Jeff still hasn't forgotten me because I put away his special mustard.
Oh, the mustard,
We
oh,
had
yeah.
2 things of mustard, so I just grabbed one and put it away, and that was the wrong one. And Jeff was angry with me. He just,
We
let's
got
say
his
he
mustard.
didn't let me forget it the rest of the week, but.
So, any other questions?
It's an adventure.
It was, and you know, I know Peggy, you said like, you know, what do I do this, whatever. If it gets too hot, whatever, or if you're, you know, whatever, you just sit down. I mean, there's 11 of us, whatever, and you take breaks, whatever. You don't, it's not, yes,
Do you pay your own expenses, or how does that work?
yes, yeah, we had to pay our own way. I know the church did contribute a certain amount, I'm not sure, and then they, for like the food for the grocery, but then we had to go back to the grocery store, I think 2 more times afterwards, whatever, but, yes, we have to pay for our airfare, whatever, and for, you know, like the cost of like the food and things like that, so.
And so you rented cars?
Yes, the rental car was included in that, so there was two vans that were included, so that we've packed 11 of us into the 2 vans, so then we would go out, then we would head out the 2 cars to our location. We always were working at the same location, even though we had 2 properties that we were working on, we worked together as a group for this one, and then where things were at like a standstill, it was like, I think 4 blocks away, we went to the other property doing the same thing, more caulking, more siding, whatever, but.
So a ballpark of cost per person?
What was the?
This one was the most expensive, and it was $1,200. Every other time I've gone, it's been less than $1,000. And the reason it was so expensive is because Taylor Swift was in town and everything was booked. And so if we had only stayed through Thursday, we could have gotten it really cheap. But because we were there Friday, which was the night of her concert, the price went up.
She should have pitched in.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Why didn't you ask?
Yeah, why didn't you ask? What were the tickets going for?
Oh, $1,400.
$1,400
So those were the cheap ones.
Yeah.
Cheap ones.
Yeah. Actually, we had down below us on the 2nd and 1st floor at the end, we had 2 families that were good friends, and they were in Texas, and they were there with their whole family on the 1st and the 2nd floor just to take their kids to the Taylor Swift concert. So I can imagine how much that would have cost. But yeah, they were
There's
cool.
their college fund.
No kidding.
We had to be at the airport at 6
Oh,
a.m.
yeah.
Oh,
That's right,
yeah.
that's right, Paul,
And
yeah.
it was filled with Swifties.
Yeah. They had the Swifties, they had their sweatshirts and all their stuff. Yeah, they were filled with Swifties. Yeah, they were.
I'd say it was really nice to have the SPP team always provide jugs of water too, with, you know, for us to go get water from them too.
Yeah,
So-
they were really good providing water for us, so that anytime you were thirsty, they were big on making sure we're staying hydrated. On that, and we brought our own water and things like that, but they had water there, so we were taken care of that way. And like I said, if you were getting a little tired or whatever, you just sat down. There's plenty of other people to do the work, so that was never an issue, not frowned upon because you sit down, you want to need a break, whatever. Okay. Any other questions? Any other
What
comments?
about, how is the streets, do they have sidewalks, street lights, all that what am I trying to say? Ancillary. I mean, was it an established neighborhood?
Yes, where we were staying was an established neighborhood, as is the place that we were working. There were,
That's what I meant,
yes,
where you were
yes.
working.
Yeah, there were a few other vacant lots, so those are the homes that the people, like I said, either abandoned or just walked away, or you know, who knows, whatever. So there are still some vacant lots. You can see some foundations, like some slabs from the garage or whatever, parking slabs that were there. But there's still some remnants of what used to be there, because a lot of those homes were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, a very old area.
And there were no sidewalks in the neighborhood. And honestly, I couldn't tell you if there were streetlights because we were only there during the day, and I didn't look for lights.
That's true, yeah. And the place we stayed on was on a busier street. It was on, we're close to the major streetcar line, but there was, we weren't too like in the middle of anything, and we're real desolate, whatever, so it was a commercial area.
We call it the Central City?
Yeah, that was the name of the neighborhood, was Central
It was
City.
kind of on the fringe of
Yeah.
the Garden District.
Yeah, right.
So we were close to some very beautiful homes. And ours was beautiful, but the area was, it was more or more commercial, I would think.
Commercial,
than
yeah, a lot
residential.
of restaurants and retail apartments above and things like that.
But right around the corner from the police station, so we felt pretty good.
Yeah, right there, yes.
I have another question about, now, there are trips that the teenagers, that the kids go on as well. Now, are any of those where they are in contact with the people and spreading the gospel? Or are these all work programs that the church has sponsored?
As far as the youth anybody who's been on youth trips, I've never been.
The youth program usually is doing some kind of work, and they're younger and faster, so they might be doing a little bit more. They usually try to participate in some worship services in the area, but they aren't out there presenting worship services.
Yeah, no. It's more like hands-on, actually doing work in the community.
Construction as
Construction
well.
works than like spreading the gospel, you know.
James in the church more.
I think that's gonna be more.
Any other questions? If not, thanks. And if you're interested, the word will go out again once we pick some dates. It will be when the weather is cooler. We will not go in July or August, or probably September. It's gonna be, you know, probably October, typically end of September, beginning of October, when the weather is cooler. And it just makes it a lot easier for us. And like I said, we're staying in we're not staying in basements anymore in cots. We're too old for that. All right, well, thanks, everybody, appreciate it.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.